she has gotten significantly bigger. Stephanie White has confirmed it. Stephanie White has gone out here and confirmed that Caitlin Clark has been bulking up. Like, that she's bulked up as a player and that she's no longer like skinny and...
Caitlin Clark simply caused a stir in the WNBA, and no, it isn't solely due to her crazy. She has been practicing at the gun range, the gym, changing her physique, and now she appears more powerful, explosive, and prepared to rule as never before. And you know who's looking so stupid? That's correct, Geno Auriemma, around now. Recall his arrogant suggestion that she would be unable of managing the WNBA's physicality. That's right.
Diana said it best. This kid's in for a rude awakening. And they all jumped over her, but they didn't read the whole thing that she said. But nobody's printing. You know, Diana Taurasi was right. This kid's on the wrong team. She's got the wrong skill set to handle the physicality of that league. And she's a rookie. And if you're a WNBA player, if you're any kind of player, you're going to say, I'm going to make a statement.
So, how did this occur, and more crucially, what causes it? Let's break it all for the sake of the league, describing how Clark transitioned from using cheap shots to turn into a powerful force, and why the WNBA's defenders are all of a sudden extremely anxious.
All right, guys, we're starting a little TikTok weight room vlog. We're going to show you what we do. Get the butt down. Okay, speed. Okay, speed.
Wait, just support.
Oh, she is strong. All right, guys, that's our lift. We are strong. Okay, we're actually strong.
Let's go back to Clark's initial season. She was undoubtedly amazing, but to be honest, she was severely beaten. The new superstar was spotted by defenders on the block and made the decision not to. Gave her permission to enter the league without a welcoming committee, as well as by welcome committee that is being pushed and tripped, checked and elbowed at each potentially chance.
I feel like I'm getting hammered.
Dick Carrington, you witnessed it. Angel Reese and Kennedy Carter were absent. She is being treated like a crash test there. Naive belief that they may frighten her. Continually physical.
Clark. I mean, that's clearly a foul, which was called. The question is, will they call it unnecessary? Kennedy Carter.
Their strategy makes Clark. They assumed she was also miserable, too thin and untrained, and that the physicality of the WNBA would destroy her. And even some analysts, for a brief moment, began to question whether she would be able to. If she could endure that, would she become just another college standout who is unable to manage the leap to the... Caitlin Clark isn't a pro. Spoiler alert. Constructed similarly to the others.
Ask you a basketball question.
Yeah.
I know that you work really hard in the off-season. You said yesterday you're always trying to get better. What's the thing that you're working on in this off-season?
I think, honestly, besides the actual basketball skill part of it, I think getting stronger, that's what I'm focusing on. I'm in the weight room a lot, just building that strength. Obviously, it was hard going right from the college season to the professional season. You know, we spend a lot of time in the weight room, so that's what I've tried to focus on the most here. And then, obviously, a lot of things on the court. I'm always wanting to get better, and that's kind of what drives me, and I love it. I love getting to do it, and I feel very fortunate that it's my job.
Simply take those strikes. She made notes, observed how the defenders were attempting to shatter her, and refused to give up. She followed the example set by the greats. This offseason, she adjusted, not just train. She entered the waiting room to fight. The time she was harassed because of the defenders' belief that they can use a cheap shove to push her away.
Every time you're seeing Caitlin Clark out, it's like, okay, she's not as skinny as she was. And this is someone who, like, that's something that she really needs to, that's something she really needs to do.
She has a tank-like build now.
Stephanie White, her coach, has already highlighted Clark's change. Is not only more powerful, but she is also quicker, robust, and even more resilient than previously. And honestly, if she was already putting up 30 pieces while being thrown to, what do you suppose she's about, the floor?
To perform right now.
is like, one, is Caitlin Clark stronger, or do you expect her to get stronger? And two, like, what's realistic, like, in terms of from a great first year to now second year in the league where, you know, it's not as new anymore, right? And you sort of know how the league plays, if nothing else.
Yes, she is stronger, first and foremost. And again, she's got a lot of self-awareness. And, she figured that out, right away. Like, I need to get stronger. I can't get knocked around as much.
Her arms gazing, like they were able to eliminate SWAT defenders. She flies with an unwavering core strength, capacity to fully absorb contact. Clark added more than simply muscle. She transformed herself into an even more terrifying, a representation of who she was and the WNBA is.
Not that she was like too weak to be in the W, but like she was too weak to be like an imposing presence in the W like she was in college, because she could be physically dominated. And then obviously we have seen throughout the offseason, we have seen like some of the transformation.
For Mons, players made an effort to improve Clark's life. Sadly, they knocked her and fouled her down, and even had the audacity to disparage. Spoke with her afterwards as though she was already lighting when she was halted. Them up while enduring all of that penalty. They must now contend with a more powerful, more quickly and securely in Caitlin Clark.
Caitlin Clark just dropped her daily off-season workout, and it's absolute.
This is why the WNBA was in big trouble.
Geno Auriemma once asked if she was able to manage the NBA's physicality. Geno, what's your justification? Currently, as Clark recently become the league and Monster are about to feel all of it.
Geno, baby, if Caitlin Clark is on the team, it becomes the right team. Because Caitlin Clark is on it. It's like saying Michael Jordan's not on the right team. It's the right team if Michael Jordan is on the roster.
Caitlin Clark simply turned the page on the whole. Last season in the WNBA, defender believed they could rough her up, push her about, and disrupt her performance, but this time, the contact is being delivered by her. She is not being pushed out of her positions. She is now making her own space. In addition to being a perimeter sniper, she's bringing defenders into the body painting, bringing them up and making them show respect. The entire court and the finest, portion for which they have no response at all. It
feel like I'm just scratching the surface. I feel like there's just so many areas that I want to improve in and to continue to get in the gym and work on that every single day.
Clark had already among the most hazardous offensive dangers in the league, but she currently has. Imagine this Caitlin Clark in a post-up game, defeating a defender with her new power to lift them beneath the basket, prior to either easily scoring or. This is a challenge to an open shooter. Is more than just a change, it's a complete nightmare for each and every squad in the league, since there is currently, officially, there is nothing that can stop her.
Somebody said the league is not ready for Caitlin. 3.0 MVP is hers. Yes, go. Fever admin, I love you. Caitlin put some weight on, bro. She definitely got in the weight room. And, like, I don't think Caitlin put weight on. I think Caitlin put a lot of muscle on. I think that's what the biggest difference is that we're seeing out of Caitlin. You know, going into this upcoming season, I think Caitlin put a bunch of muscle on, and it shows. It shows within her, you know, her body frame. It shows that her arms is bigger and her thighs is way wider. She definitely put some muscle on.
Muscle on that. Why is the WNBA as a whole on high alert? Clark isn't simply coming back for another season. She's returning as an entirely various beasts, as well as those defenders who believed they had her figured out. They're going to be quickly humbled.
Caitlin Clark in college was not the strongest player in the world. Like, she was somebody that wasn't weak by any means, but we saw when it came to the WNBA that she was kind of, she wasn't able to really assert herself physically.
However, this goes beyond simply taking over. The upcoming season is about confirms her status as a generational force for many years to come in the WNBA. Isn't this a little off-season tune-up? Is the type of change that distinguishes legends from great players, and Caitlin Clark is playing. Let's face it. The real question now is the long term. Can Clark put all of the newly discovered strength to employ in a gaming environment? Give a definitive response.
A great job of getting in the weight room and really focusing on her areas that she needs to focus on in terms of strength, in terms of, low center of gravity, time under tension, like all of those things. I think the next step is efficiency, right? Like not so many turnovers.
She hasn't just put on weight. She's changed her whole play. The defender's Caitlin Clark game encountered during the previous season. She has left and a player has taken her place. He has given her a completely new dimension. Arsenal's offensive one that will force the WNBA defenders to reconsider everything they believed they were aware of guarding. Consider her performance from the previous year: speed, superb shooting, and stunning passing. To discover her form of play that hasn't altered, but she has now added strong moves that will totally transform her. Those tiny defenders who are unguardable. Yes, I did attempt to body her up. They will soon discover the hard way that she has changed as a player.
I genuinely think that Caitlin Clark had quite a lot of flaws, but so is still, even with flaws, she was that good that if she can figure out those flaws, she's going to be the best player ever. And that's the reality of the situation. And one of them was that she was very skinny.
Clark has been diligently preparing her post-up game, and she's already reaping the rewards, easily holding defenders while backing them down. Her position against turning and contact for smooth finishes. Imagine Clark posting after experiencing a setback and exhausting fades away as an experienced all-star who's a completely new danger to her game, and defenders are clueless about how to deal with.
Stephanie White knows she's talking about, and confirming Caitlin Clark is stronger is going to help a lot, because we saw after Olympic break when Caitlin Clark got stronger that she was posting up guards. Like, she doesn't have very many post moves, but that double bang with her left shoulder into the turnaround layup floater thingies off the backboard, it worked really well. And like, we saw her taking some bigger guards in the post.
And it doesn't end there. Clark continues to drive. Ability has also advanced significantly. Defenders may have knocked her off last season. Balance while heading to the edge, she's now making contact and taking the blow, and making a solid finish at the hoop. Those difficult layups that were once utilized to rim out, they're dropping right now.
She's able to play a little bit in the post and able to shoot over people that it becomes really difficult to put, for example, to put somebody like a Jordan Cannon on her.
This isn't simply a player becoming more powerful. This is a player altering her style of play, ensuring that there isn't a defender in the league can take advantage of a flaw in the league. Believed they could exhaust her last. They believed that physicality was the response, although Clark is now designed for they don't know about battle or the WNBA. Future plans for Caitlin Clark's development is more than just getting her gain strength, is opening up a complete. Her playmaking has reached a new level. Off defenders for a longer time, continuing to dribble tight when pressed and separating passing lanes that were previously non-existent. Imagine that two people trap Clark defenders, but rather than receiving, agitated or depleted her muscles through the fires and pressures of flawless. To a wide-open comrade, she was extremely an exceptional passer already, but this added physicality is causing her vision to become equally more deadly.
So she's going to have that in her arsenal, and it's going to make her harder to defend. It's going to make her way, way harder to defend because, if you can't bully her, it means that the Dijonais hand check through three-quarter court isn't going to be allowed.
And if you're curious about how large of a difference, pay attention to what, according to experts, some people think Clark might benefit from her increased strength. A double-double in points on average, and let's take a moment to absorb the assists this season. Every game is double-double, and it's not simply, wow, that's an impact worthy of the Hall of Fame. However, this is what sets Clark apart. She's not stopping at simply the rest. She's working on improving one area, every facet of her game to make sure nothing may be taken away by any defender from. She recalls the exercise video that exploded with 2 million views in a single day on Twitter, and Clark wasn't alone. Flaunting in a vacant gym, it was designed for total dominance.
I saw this workout. This workout has gotten a lot of people excited for Caitlin Clark because she is like directly working on her weaknesses, which I think is a good look, honestly. I think that's a really, really good look for her because, again, when we're seeing somebody working on their weaknesses and not the glamorous weaknesses.
3 important. Clark's primary areas of interest. Managing a ball under tremendous strain. As a matter of fact, Clark's handles are now elite, however she did take the top in last season in turnovers, a significant. Among those, her teammates just weren't prepared for the unearthly. She was throwing out passes, but another. The crazy ball pressure she was under was a factor. Facing the double and triple every night, she is surrounded by teams of relentless defenders. Rather than allowing that to slow her down, she is actively tackling it and working on greater oversight and speedier decision-making. This is her next mid-range move. Enormous. Everyone is familiar with Clark's logo. Range 3 ES and her extraordinary capacity for. She hit a crazy last shot at the rim. 62% compared to last season's less than 5 feet, yet the single place that adversaries attempted to impose her into that dead zone in the middle by honing her pull-up and floater skills. Jumper, she's getting rid of the final deficiency in her current arsenal scoring. Officially, there isn't a safe place to enforce her to. And ultimately concluding by communication. Clark has never shied away from attacking them. However, in the WNBA, that entails taking some significant hits, whether or not they are legal. The game-like solution she's mimicking. Circumstances causing those bumps in. Strengthening herself and practicing so she can power via defenders and then taking unwarranted punishment and really have a look at her arms.
She's back in her natural habitat, back in the lab, playing basketball, and it's got to be a scary sight for the rest of the WNBA if she gets even better, because it's not as if she wasn't absolutely phenomenally elite as a rookie and arguably the best player in the league after the Olympic break.
She's changing drastically and getting better into the most comprehensive attacking player in the WNBA, and this is the most terrifying aspect. If she is only in her 2nd season. Leaping in this manner, now it is. In a few years, she will look like we may not only be viewing a fantastic player, we might be seeing the appearance of one among the WNBA's most dominant players. The past.
They're working on a lot of finishes in this video, a lot of finishes at the rim, and maybe some different finishes that we didn't see from her in the 2024 season. Now, Coach KP told me that one of his goals for Caitlin was just to expand her bag. So no matter what defense is thrown at her, she has something for it.
For protectors who, although the previous season was difficult, Caitlin Clark has no idea what's coming next. Stronger, more adept, and participating in an very new level, but how? Should the rest of the league be concerned? In other words, opposing coaches are more than just worried about losing. Spend the night with this Clark, and this goes beyond online hype specialists are anticipating that she might be. Only she is the 2nd favorite for MVP. Season 2.
With Caitlin Clark, that's a really, really important thing. You can do it gradually. And I don't think she bulked up like a crazy amount. Like, she's not going to be physically destroying people. I just don't think she's going to quite get bullied as much as she did.
Caitlin Clark's. The transformation is not only remarkable, it's revolutionary since she was already a scoring device. However, she has now added a degree of body language that makes her essentially unstoppable, like driving a Formula One car vehicle and fastening a jet motor to it. Defenders who pushed her around in the past. Yes, those times are over, and she is now the one establishing the mood while creating defenders reconsider their whole approach. Keep in mind how teams used to on the court they would harass Clark, make cheesy remarks, and pretend that she couldn't cope with the NBA's physicality. Guess what? Clark, your technique simply become outdated, is no longer only absorbing contact. She's giving it out, and groups are rapidly recognizing that they can't simply expect to slow her down by bodying her up.
Like, there was a couple of times you could see her arms, and you're like, okay, she's gotten a lot bigger. And I do like the fact that she, by the end of the season, she was taking people in the post a little bit more. And that's the one thing I like with Caitlin Clark, is that not that she's got good post footwork, but she's got a good ability to kind of like bump with her left shoulder and then shoot over her right. That kind of layup hook shot.
However, this is where things really get. Her newfound strength isn't merely making her offense is a greater issue, transforming her into a valid defensive. She's fighting through screens too. She's surviving against more powerful. She is no longer the defensive player. Remember that liability teams were once targeted when rivals used to pursue Clark on defense. Good luck with it. She's currently more disciplined, stronger, and faster. You can no longer take advantage of her as a player. She is turning into a two-way danger.
I think it's an inevitability that Caitlin Clark is the first player to ever average a double-double in the WNBA with points and assists. I think she's going to likely set the record for assists per game in a season at some stage in her career.
Additionally, if you're unsure if she'll take over immediately, so let me throw. Some experts are already looking at you, estimating that she might post 25, 15 assists and points per game. Thus, let's take it all in. That's not just excellent. Legendary. If Clark is anything like those figures, we could be examining though. The WNBA's first player to average a perfect score and assist total for the entire season.
I think it's going to be a situation where maybe she's not the best player in the world straight away. Maybe she's not the best player in the world by game 10, but we can't forget last year that she just got better and better and better. If there's a scenario where, like, I don't think it's far-fetched to say Caitlin Clark could average 23 and 10 next year.
And when she ultimately chooses to score, it will be a terrible experience for her. She's not just pulling up from defenders. She is posting up now that she is 30 feet away. Smaller security personnel supporting them and either kicking it or finishing within. Exposed to a shooter, and when she, good luck stopping her, drivers. Completing through contact as never before. Prior to.
The goal is not for Caitlin Clark to be, realistically shouldn't be for her, to be the best player in the world tomorrow. The goal should be to be the greatest player of all time. And to be the greatest of all time, you don't have to be the best player in the world next year.
However, let's discuss fouls for. When Clark was thinner, the referees allow defenders to escape with a great deal of continue. However, those fouls will now be far away, more evident, indicating that she will further down the free throw line, and we all understand that Clark doesn't miss the stripe. This might be a serious issue for teams attempting to impede her progress, but the frightening thing is that Clark is only in her second season, assuming she continues to produce these bounds. Just think of what it appears that in a few years we won't just observing a superstar's ascent, we might be witnessing the next great forming.
The goal should be to fully cement yourself in that conversation next year, and then by year 3, make it so that the only argument against her being the best player in the world is A'ja Wilson herself. And then by year 4 or 5, when Juju starts to come into the league, when Juju comes in, when Hidalgo come in, people are like, oh, these are the comparisons. I mean, no one's going to have those comparisons if at that stage Caitlin Clark is coming off an MVP season and a title and is the best player in the league.
Clark isn't simply altering the game she's playing. A new benchmark for each and every WNBA player is noticing if you're not receiving more powerful, you're falling behind. The way Clark has changed is sending a clear message, either adjust or observe what does this signify for the sidelines? Clark's new strength for the upcoming season and enhanced abilities could result in records, swaying from side to side, this isn't just. It's looking like it will be another season. One of the WNBA's most notable years. Clark isn't here merely to compete. History. She's coming to rule, so seize your popcorn, make time in your calendar, and get. Caitlin Clark is getting set to don a performance that will have us talking for years. Are you thrilled to come? Please let us know in comments such as subscribe and turn on all alerts to ensure you don't miss anything. Select the video that appears on the screen and I'll see you at the following one.